Welcome to the WangHiro podcast, where we answer Malaysians' burning questions about personal finance with fact-based answers.
Investing is one of the best ways to grow your wealth. It's also one of the easiest ways to lose it. We all know someone who has gained a lot of money, became very rich from investing, but we also know a lot of people who have played the stock markets or some other investing forms and lost a lot of money. No matter what your experience and stance on investing, most of us can agree that if we want to get to know our finances better, we need to understand how investing works. In this episode of One Hero, we look at some of the most common investing myths, look at what is investing, and also give you some tips on how to invest for the first time. First, let's talk about the myths around investing.
Yeah, I think if we don't break, I wouldn't say break, if we don't address the myths, I think that is a very big emotional barrier to stopping people from starting at all, Louis. And if we don't also share about how to look at it from a different angle, people just won't even start at all. I guess these are the two things that why I think we should start around myths.
That's true. I think a lot of people, not only with regards to investing, when starting something completely new and slightly complex can get a little bit intimidated. So one of the biggest myths around investing is that it is very risky, right? So there's a camp of people who believe that any form at all of investing is risky. And the only way that they're going to keep their money safe is to keep it in a savings account, or more drastically, some may even put it in a safety deposit box in their home. So what do you say to someone like that, John, who says to you, okay, I think investing is just too risky. I don't want to lose all my money.
Correct. For those who want to keep it in a safe deposit box, make sure there are no cockroaches and there are no insects that are actually going to go into your safety deposit box and start eating your money, because that's the worst thing that can happen. Okay, those who keep physical money. To those guys who are going to put into savings and low interest rates but considered risk-free, there are actually many other risks that a lot of people don't think about, and I call this the invincible risk. Invincible risk number one is actually inflation. So let's just say we put money into a fixed deposit that pays us, let's say in Malaysia, paying probably 3.5. Probably if you're lucky, long term, you probably get 4%. Okay. Now, if we just base on just CPI, or consumer price index data, as an inflation rate, it's already telling you it's anywhere between 3 to 4%. But for most Malaysians, you will know that your top fund, your bread, your kopi, is not going to increase at 3.4, 3 or 4% every year. I would say sometimes it's even like, I think pre and post COVID, you just go out and try to drink a cup of coffee from your ordinary mama. You already know. You may even get drinks at $2, teh tarik at 2 something, right?
It's already that price where I stay.
Yeah.
It's already $2, yes.
Correct. And roti kosong, I used to pay 60 cents. Right? Today is like what? I don't know how much is it in Miri, Louis, but in KL, I sometimes get roti kosong, roti canai kosong for 150 right now, No joke. It's no joke.
Yeah, I think it has never gone below RM1, but now it should be 2 something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, insane.
Yeah.
So I think that for me is the biggest risk, because if you don't level up and don't understand the risk of inflation, your purchasing power 5 years, 10 years from now is going to erode if your money is not working hard for you. That for me is even more risky, because it's invincible, it's unseen, right? Unseen.
But it'll creep up on you anyway. One day.
Correct.
Your everyday purchases of grocery, when you eat out, it's just gonna eat into your budget, and then suddenly, your money is worth much less than it used to be worth.
Correct. Yeah. And you know what's worse, Louis? Based on my research, looking into stocks and all this, service-based industries are actually having more of a say of the upper hand of inflation. What do we mean by service-based? So we talk about food like roti canai and our
Mhm.
groceries, whatever. You know what is even worse in terms of inflation or not? What services? You want to take a guess? That we have to use. We cannot escape one.
Don't know.
Medical.
Oh, right. Medical. Yeah.
Medical. The other one. You know, university fees inflation is actually much higher than food.
No.
I have data to prove it.
Wow.
Yeah.
How much
So
more is it?
yeah, so it's creeping up anywhere between 10 to 12% every year. You don't even realize it. I mean,
No.
just
I think
ask
because
your
I stopped
friends
going to
who are
school.
going to uni today,
Uh-huh.
what is the fees comparatively to how
That's
much you paid?
true. That's true. I mean, I went to uni more than 10 years ago. I think my fees at that time I felt was quite high.
Mm,
But I mean, I was on a scholarship, but I was well aware of the fees was 22,000 a year,
mm.
private university. I think now it has gone way above 30K.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see? You see? So I can tell you, and it's real. It's real.
Yes, it's real.
It is real. So yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's one side of the camp, right? So people who think that any kind of investment is risky. And then we also have the other side who thinks that there is one safe investment. And this idea has been probably propagated by a lot of people selling this product, and that
Mm,
is unit trust, right?
mm,
So a lot of unit trust agents actually tell their customers that unit trust is safer than investing in individual stocks, right? Because you have a diversified portfolio, therefore, there's a lot of risk hedging, right? So what do you say to that, John? Is unit trust actually the safest?
it's very safe for the guy selling it lah, because he's getting a commission.
Right. Right.
Okay.
It is
No,
a fixed income, right, for them.
yeah, it's almost like a fix, and then they advise you to do switching because that it's cost to the customer, but it's into the pocket. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing unit trust advisors or whatever vehemently. It's more
I should
like,
say not every unit trust advisor will say this, but a lot do.
yeah, a lot do. I think the angle I would try to put it again is this: what is a unit trust? It's a collective pool of money that is being utilized to buy an underlying asset, right? So what is the underlying asset? It's either a bond, a fixed income instrument, and most of the time unit trust where you get better returns are actually equities. So aren't equities subject to the volatility of the markets as well? I believe so. It's like it goes up and it goes down. You ask any unit trust holder today, most likely the accounts are in the red lah, because of the market volatility we are observing today, right, or going through today. So how can unit trust become risk-free? Again, this is a nuance that warrants a deeper dive. It can become risk-free technically if you buy only fixed income or bonds. But as we can witness in the most recent happenings over the past week, even bonds are not safe.
That's true.
So as I was telling you, Louis, before the podcast, UBS just bought over Credit Suisse, and Credit Suisse has a class of bonds called Cocos. it's yeah, it's so cute, right? It's called Cocos.
Okay.
Like cocoa jelly Cocos, right? So it's essentially it's a convertible coupon. It's called a. I just cannot think of why it's so cute to call it Cocos, right? So it's actually a convertible bond into equities, and the purpose of it was aimed to not allow the government's taxpayers' money to actually shoulder banks that are going to lose out, right? What happened is that if it's called, I think the correct word to call it is actually contingent convertible bonds. That's why they call it COCOs, contingent convertible, right?
Okay.
And as I said earlier, it's actually to shield the government's taxpayers' money from bailing out the banks, but it comes with a caveat: is that it will not be recognized as senior to equity holders because it's convertible, provided certain scenarios happen. No, I know I may not be making sense to people not familiar with the bond market and all that, but think of it this way: people always think that, hey, because it's money being lent out and I have a note to promise that people pay me back, right, with a certain interest rate, that isn't necessary always true all the time. And I'm using this COCO contingent convertible bonds as an example that this is one of the scenarios where you as a bondholder, technically more senior to an equity holder, you will not be paid out in this case. So to linking to the earlier question of is unit trust safe? Not really, because it all boils down to the underlying instruments that you're buying. And you buy the safer you are, right? The safer you are, you buy your bonds or you buy your fixed income instrument, right? What happens? You're going to get lower rate of return. So it still doesn't navigate you away from the first invisible risk, which is
Correct.
inflation.
Correct. So I think sometimes when people buy into unit trust, they think of it as a savings plan with a high
Yes.
interest. This is also how
It's being
the
marketed.
agents- yes, correct. They're marketing it as that, but in fact the risks are quite different.
It's-
And I think a lot of people, they tend to want to do that because when they imagine investing themselves, right? They think, okay, maybe I need to be in front of a computer all day, right? They've seen it in a lot of TV shows or movies where, a whole group of brokers are like shouting at a screen, oh, that's how they should be. And they're like, oh, I have a job. I can't actually do that. Or if they know people who do that, they always have a phone with a chart. So what do you think about this idea, John? Do you really need to, be on the pulse on the market all day, every day if you're an investor?
It depends on whether you're doing it as full-time job or it depends on whether you're investing. It boils down to your style, and the simplest answer is no. I think it's been sensationalized through movies, through perception, through headlines and all that, and that you can only make money by sitting down all day and looking at charts, right? I know plenty of investors that don't even know how to read a chart. Plenty. And they're multi-millionaires. Okay? I feel that because of sensationalization of headline news today, that's where that myth occurs. And it is not necessarily true that you have to be glued to the screen, because the notion of buying stock in my books and in a lot of people, the giants that I stand on their shoulders, is that you are buying a business. And by buying a business, it's not actually a ticker on the screen. Now, a lot of time, okay, maybe I come from a questioning mode. When we look at buying or selling a stock, you actually log on to your broker screen, and then what do you see? You see prices, and they light up in green and red. I had one client before, Louis, it's so funny. She said, what is the perception of the stock market to you? And she replied to me, it's like red bars and green bars. Red bars going down, green bars going up. That's the perception of the market for her, right? That's the perception of stock. But as the word it is like you are going into the stock market. That's a market for you to buy and sell stocks. So obviously you see movement of prices, movement of volume. But underlying those prices or those tickers, or we call it, right? What is behind that? It's actually a business. And a business, for you to buy, let's just say a coffee shop that is next to you, and the owner says, hey, I'm old, I want to sell out, my kids are not going to buy, I'm not going to run this business for me. What are the questions you'll be asking yourself before you buy? Is this business a profitable business? Does it have regular clients? Is my cost contained? Can I bring in new sales? These are the questions that would be underlying that of a business. But when it comes to the market, when you see red bars and green bars, all those questions seems to be like thrown aside. You're like, can this bar go up? Can this bar go down? But what's the underlying basis to that? And I think that has clouded a lot of perception of people who are not familiar with all this. And there are various reasons. Obviously, I wouldn't do justice if I explain it here, but there are various reasons because other people would want to manipulate the market based on the ignorance of people who don't know better.
That's quite true.
Yeah.
True.
And that's why they will tell you, they'll show you a chart and they said, look at this pattern, it's going to go up, whatever. Sad to say, Louis, I've met people who can tell me they can make the market to look like the chart that you want.
Wow.
There are people like that. Yes.
So
Obviously, I can't reveal names or whatever. I mean, to each his own.
Yeah.
Right? To each his own, right? Yeah.
So I think for the general like retail investor, you don't really have to worry about looking at charts all day, right? It's
Yeah.
more like in analyzing the company as a business and
Correct.
thinking as a
Correct.
business, right? So like a partial owner of that business, if you were
Yes.
to put it that way.
Yes.
So another myth I would say people have is that okay, we're thinking about investing. It seems like you know, you if you were to invest, you need a big pocket. But let's say I don't really have enough money. I have barely enough to save up
eat. Yeah.
to eat. My savings are just, you know, ngam, not really. I'm not wealthy. Can I even invest? It's not even something that, you know, they think is possible for them because of their current financial status.
Yeah, and it's a good question. It's a good myth. You need money to make money, right? Yes and no. Okay. Now, do you mind if I play a game with you, Louis? I don't know if you played this game before, but it'd be pretty fun. And the audience can play along, okay?
Sure, play along, guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I were to give you 100, okay, so there's two pots, pot A and pot B. Okay. On pot A, you will be getting 100,000 a day for 30 days. Okay. 100,000 a day for 30 days. All right. And pot B, you get 10 cents a day, but this 10 cents doubles up every day for 30 days. Okay. Pot A, 100,000 for 30 days. Pot B, 10 cents, but the 10 cents doubles up every day for 30 days. Which one will you pick? Pot A or pot B? Don't calculate. Just give me a spontaneous answer. Don't calculate.
I understood.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, since we're on an investing topic, right, the obvious answer should be the wrong one. So I'm going to go for the second one, which is 10 cents a day for 30 days.
Yes, 10 cents a day for this. So let's do the math, okay? And it's a bit unfair for me because I've done the math many times.
So
right?
let's see.
Okay, let's do the simple one first. Pot A, okay? Pot A, 100K for 30 days. How much is that? 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. And you just, it's a linear multiplication of 30 days times 100K, you get 3 million, right? Okay, very linear, very straightforward. What about the second one? 10 cents only, you know. So 10 cents, 20 cents. Third day is how much?
10, 60 cents.
40 cents. No, not 60.
Oh,
doubles every day, you know.
Yeah.
So 10, 20, 40, 80 cents, 160, 320, 640, you know. Okay. You want to know what's the ending amount, Louis, on the 30th day?
Yeah, how much?
Take a guess. Just take a guess.
10 million.
107 million.
Seriously? Wow.
Surprise, right?
The 10 times more than my wildest guess.
You see where I'm coming at? That is the power of compounding. And why is it related to the myth we want to answer is that I need a lot of money to invest. It's not about how much you start, but how early you start. Because 10 cents can be 107 million if you know you start early, let time be your ally, be your friend, get started at any amount. Now, obviously, the caveat is this. If you don't even have enough to save, please save up first. Because what happens is this. If you start investing without an emergency savings that you can double down on to, or that you can rely on in case of an emergency, what happens is you are disrupting that compounding period. And I, as a business owner from an employee, which I had a regular salary, I was banking in or putting money aside to invest, I was letting it compound. But the moment I came out to be an entrepreneur, I needed to dig into my savings. I needed to dig into my investments to survive, to pay my expenses. And because of that, I saw the interruption to that compounding. And I've seen it in real life, experienced it real life. And that's where I highly recommend for people to actually have that savings of 6 months and that buffer first, right? So there you go. I think it's not necessary the amount that you start off with, is really how early you start off with. And more importantly, in parallel, learn. Because you cannot be reading books, get all this theory, get all this concept, but you never, it's like you learn how to swim by reading a book.
That's very true. I think that really speaks to the power of compounding. I think compounding is really one of the magics in life, whether it's investing. I would say investing in the most like in terms of like investing in the stocks and everything, the assets, and even investing in yourself, like
Correct.
right. So imagine
Correct.
if you went to the gym, like you'll probably not see any results for the first 10 days, 30 days, or even a few months. But if you do it consistently for a year, you're probably gonna be a lot
You're-
fitter than how you
Correct.
started.
Correct. You are
Yeah.
spot on. In business, in anything in life, Louis, put it this way.
It's just how the world works, I guess.
Yeah, because a lot of people, we are so, especially in today's day and age of social media, right? We are so attuned to like instantaneous results. So you see, before, after photo, those reduced weight, right? Before, after.
Yeah.
Like bloody hell, that guy probably or that girl probably had to go through like 6 months of diet, exercising, whatever to get through to there, right? But that in between work is not like documented, and yeah, the grind is not shown.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very good that we had that discussion around the myths. At least for the listeners out there, you can take a look at what are the myths that are stopping you from investing. So
That's right.
once you have that out of the way, now let's roll back to the basics. What actually is investing?
Yeah.
Once heard of this term before, but what
Mhm.
does it actually mean, and what is it? How is it different from other forms of like putting away money, like savings, for example?
Great. The concepts are similar but not the same. And I put it in the most layman terms. Why are you putting money aside in savings? You're putting money aside so that you hope that it can generate something that is enough of a cash flow or of a capital return for the future. The problem about savings is that the return has never exceeded that of the inflation rate. And that is the reason why you have to branch out into investing, is because you want to get the returns or the cash flows of higher purchasing value in the future rather than lower purchasing value in the future, because inflation is going to eat it up anyway. Right? Now, why investing is you are weighing the risk to reward. When you're putting money into a savings or a fixed deposit, I have a joke for a lot of my students before, Louis. You know what's the joke about or not, Louis? I said, all of you, right? I can guarantee all of you can make 3% return.
Okay.
You understand the gist of the joke, right?
Yeah.
All of you, I can guarantee all of you can make 3%. Don't need to think one. You just go to the bank, put in money, you guarantee make 3% already. Depending on the interest rate or what the bank gives you. So now I said 3% is because that's the rate being given to you. But for you to make 5, 10, 15%, what are the skill sets do you need to be able to give that return? And why is it necessary? It's because, again, as I said, you need to beat inflation, right? And investing is really about setting money aside or resources aside that in the future, hopefully it gives you cash flow back that can beat that inflation, that rate of return. You see? Now, why do people use investing to build wealth? One is because you are leveraging on the resources of other people to build, not just you. So for you, how do you make money? You actually have to go, most of the time we start off, if you're not well endowed by family money or an inheritance, you're exchanging time for money. You're using labor, right? But you're not leveraging on other people's effort. I feel that a lot of people, they forget the gist of invest because they think too much about the risk, whatever, right? But in investing, what you're actually doing. Now, John Paul Getty actually said this. John Paul Getty of the famous Getty Museum and all that, he actually said this. I rather have 1% effort from everybody else versus 100% of effort from myself. So the gist of investing is I'm leveraging other people's resources, time, money, effort to be able to give me some kind of a return. Because when you're buying partial ownership of businesses of other people, I'm referring to stocks, right? That's where you leverage on their dynamism of entrepreneurship, how they allocate resources and all that. When you're buying property, it's the same. You are leveraging on the developer to actually find a good plot of land, to actually develop it, to build infrastructure, whatsoever, and hopefully with other catalysts being thrown in, let's say government builds in LRT infrastructure. You are leveraging on that as well so that your property gains value, you see? But if you choose to put it into the bank, what is the bank doing? The bank is actually leveraging on you to make money. You think about it very carefully, right?
Yeah, that's true.
The bank is
And I think
leveraging on
they're
your
doing
effort.
that at
Yeah,
a very low risk as well, right? Only paying you 3% versus
correct.
what they had like stand to gain from using your capital.
Precisely. And can you imagine if they leverage on your savings to actually give out loans at 7, 8, sometimes 15% predatory lending? You know, like I know like a lot of times people compare predatory lending to allongs, but I can tell you some credit companies, and I used to be invested in some of them, right? These are public listed companies, very legal. They were charging 30% interest rates because these
crazy.
lenders or these borrowers that were borrowing from them, these were blacklisted, couldn't get any credit score whatsoever. So that was the best alternative or option. And you cannot blame them. I mean, there is a need, right? It's like, okay, I every bad thing that happens, like drugs or whatever, right? There was a need. There was a willing buyer, willing seller, you see? Yeah,
That's
yeah,
true. So
yeah.
would you say, John, I mean, the average person needs to know how to invest?
Minimum. I tell you, the reason why you are an investor, even though you don't realize you're an investor, is that any Malaysian, unless you're a freelancer and choose not to put in money, is already an investor through EPF. How does
Right.
EPF make money? EPF, a big chunk of their 60% or 70% of their profits that are gained, investment profits that are gained, are actually from the equities market. So you are technically already an investor through EPF. Right. Obviously, then if you take it a notch higher and you want to be an investor yourself, then you put money aside into PRS, public retirement schemes, private retirement schemes, sorry, or a unit trust, or directly into stocks, or whatever lah. Right. So I feel investing on it, and I feel very passionate about this. Investing on its own is a necessary life skill. It's like counting. For me, it's like counting. It's like you have math, but what do you use it for? How do you apply it? How do you really apply it? Investing is one of them, actually. Yeah.
So it's kind of just like applied maths,
Yes, exactly. It's applied math. And don't get me wrong, by me saying that, is math is an important component of investing, it's not the only thing. I would say math only constitutes a share or a certain weightage of it, but a lot of it is actually understanding psychology, understanding how businesses work. And this is where it gets interesting, but we reserve that for another day.
Sure. I think yeah, to that point, I think when we start to take investing skills into our own hands, that's when we can start leveraging on everything that John has talked about, like what others are doing, what has been built. But if we take a very passive approach to it, right, like,
Yes.
I'm just gonna listen to my unit trust agent sell me this product, I just buy that product, is it really the best value for your money?
I would say, again, it depends, because I know there's going to be a lot of brick bats.
yeah, but again, we're not talking about like, okay, like all unit trust agents are bad. It's just some are really touting this to unknowing customers.
Correct.
I think it's very important for anyone selling a financial product to be very upfront
Yes.
about what the options are, what the risks are, everything to their customers. All right.
Yeah.
So I think now, John.
Also, I want to add one more thing. Sorry, Louis, to interrupt you. I'm not, by us saying this, I'm going to be on the side of the unit trust agents when I say this. It is also the client's responsibility to understand what they're buying. So if you're not demanding that kind of education from your unit trust agent, the fault is partially yours too.
True.
Yeah.
Sometimes, when customers are out to shop for an investment product, they want something similar to a savings, right?
Correct.
And they're gonna tell you that, it's quite similar. But if you don't dig deeper, they don't know if you want to know more, right?
Yeah.
You might know more.
Yeah, you're taking it at face value, so it's also your fault.
Yeah, that's very true. True. So everyone has a role to play in buying and selling investment products.
Correct.
Okay, so talking about investment products, John, what exactly can people invest in? So the common ones are stocks, real estate. What other things can they invest in?
Some people love gold. You know, there's a big
Yeah.
school of thought on gold, and I'll leave this in the show notes later. Actually, Warren Buffett came up with an excellent article about gold. I don't know whether I've even shared this with you, Louis. Fantastic, 5 pages featured on Fortune magazine, I think in 2018 or 2017 about gold. So go read out on that. I don't want to spoil the surprise. Yeah, there's other precious metals. These are all lumped into what I call precious metals, commodity, silver, nickel. There's actually a market for it. I would say please know what you're doing before going into that. Okay. You know, I just came back from a business a master class in Bali, and we were having a very interesting dinner discussion table. I just wanted to share this story with you, Louis. And this lady, she's a health entrepreneur. She teaches people how to correct posture and all that kind of thing. And she's attended many classes. And one of the classes on investing she attended was actually buying and selling options. And yet she has no clue about what stock is. So the people who are on the table, I have a guy who he's ex T. Rowe Price. So if you're not familiar, Louis and the audience, T. Rowe is one of the largest asset managers in the US. So this guy is clearly a professional. He used to work for JP Morgan as well, JP Morgan and T. Rowe and all that in Hong Kong. And we were talking, and then we chuckled because we were like saying that you don't know how to crawl, but you want to run because you're buying options. And options is like, you know, you need mathematical prowess to be able to understand all this. Instead, they were being taught to buy and sell options, but not teaching them the underlying of what is an option, you know. And so if you don't even understand what is stocks or equities and you go buy options, you're like, you're moving into the realm of speculating already. Yeah. So yeah, back to your question about what kind of assets. Most Malaysians love property. They can buy land. And then you've got unit trust, which for me underlying is still stocks. Then you've got precious metal, bonds. Actually, the bond market is 2 times the size of the equity market, Louis. So that means if, let's say, the bond market, the equities market is 1 trillion, the bond market is actually 2 trillion. It's actually much larger than that. I'm just plucking a number out of the sky, right? There's also things like Forex. Some people think Forex is an investment. People do make money from Forex. I'm not invested because I don't know much about Forex, right? There's another asset that you can invest in, the trading currency pairs and all that kind of thing. And last but not least, and this is where I feel is a bit sensitive and dangerous, things that are marketed as an investment, but it's actually a scam.
Oh, okay.
Because what constitutes an investment? They always think that it's returns. The first thing in mind they say is a return. But then why is it important that you ask this question? It's a great question, Louis. It's such a simple question, but it's actually a very important question. When people look at investment purely based on returns, is it benchmarked against a realistic return? So when someone tells you, I can give you 2% a day, now listen carefully. It doesn't sound like a lot, right? 2% a day, but if you compound every day for that 2%, right? Can you imagine the insane amount of return you're going to get after a month or a year?
Similar to the game we play, right?
Exactly. So then let me ask you, do you see people, okay, would it be possible that everybody increase drinking Milo by 2% a day or not? Every day.
No.
That means your consumption of Milo increased by 2% a day. No, right?
No.
So then if businesses cannot grow at 2% a day, what are the possible reasons that money can be returned to you at 2% a day? So actually Buffett wrote this. I'm going a little bit deeper, Louis, but actually Buffett wrote this very long letter describing about what are realistic returns. Okay. And he said, right, he studied hundreds and thousands of companies before. Okay. And he said he has never seen, on average, if you stretch it over long periods of time, a company's average return is anywhere between 10 to 12% a year.
Oh.
Long periods, he's talking about hundreds of years. Okay, so he studied all kinds of businesses, and you name it, confectionery business, fast-moving consumer goods. He's also a Gillette shareholder, right? Okay, so right, disposable equipment. He's also insurance, banks, you name it. His largest shareholding today is Apple. So don't say he doesn't understand tech. He does understand tech. He understands tech and investing even more, right? Here comes the question. If businesses can't do more than 12 or even superior businesses 25, 30%, what makes you think that an investment can give you 2% a day? You see what I mean? That is where I think, what drives returns? What is driving your returns? And I think that's an important point for you to benchmark whenever you think about an asset class you want to buy. Because if someone promises you that kind of return, it's very likely a Ponzi.
It's returning to them, ma.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I think the idea here is that you have to dig a bit deeper into everything you invest, and invest in things you actually understand. So let's say you don't understand, you have to study up, know how things work, so you don't fall into one of those Ponzi schemes masked as a good, miracle investment scheme.
Correct.
Okay, so John, let's now think about, okay, so this person listening to all of this so far, and they're thinking, okay, I'm ready to invest, right? So if they were to do a self-assessment to see, okay, how ready they are to invest, what are some things that they should be checking?
Very good question. Again, 6 months of expenses soaked away, at least. First checklist. Second checklist, do you have proper insurance in place that will take care, especially of your medical bills in case of an emergency? Third checklist, will your parents likely require you to contribute in emergency? So for me, these are three very common reasons. Now, you cannot, for the third one especially, for a disaster, touch wood, a disaster that happens to my family, that requires, let's say, $1 million or whatever. Even I can't stomach that. Okay, right? But at least basic needs like food, like let's say big debts like their house or whatever, if that is settled, that is fantastic, right? So once you have that, okay, that's the foundational part. The second part you need to have is actually the willingness to put aside your ego and to learn. I think that is pertinent, even more important than having enough money or whatever. Because if you don't have that,
having the right mindset.
Correct. If you don't have the right mindset, no matter what amount of money you have, no matter what kind of training people is going to give you, even for free, it's not going to happen. Are you willing to be vulnerable to be a beginner?
Right.
And I'm not even I can tell you some of the best investors in the world, and I've met some of the great Malaysian investors that are worth like hundreds of millions. They still call me up to understand industries that they know I'm familiar with, that they are not familiar with. So that goes to show you the amount of humbleness, even when success has already arrived at their doorstep.
Like don't start with your glass full of water. I think
Correct.
Some room to
Correct.
say, yeah, things that I don't know, I guess I need to learn, right?
Yes.
So always
Correct.
have an earnest mindset when it comes to investing, and that's where you probably can do very well.
Correct.
Okay, so I guess
last one. Sorry, one more. Timeline.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Timeline. So I think checklist number 5, if you're too eager to get there, you want $1 million tomorrow. All right. I think you have better luck in Genting or in the 4D or another one. Okay. I hope people don't get excited. Marry a rich, better half. Regardless, I'm not saying only for the girls, for the guys also, okay? Right. For the guys, the girls.
It is valid. It is valid.
Right. Marry a rich, better half.
As long as both parties are mutually willing and understand what the transaction is about, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Nothing wrong, to each his own, right?
Yep, no problem, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I think those are very good things to consider. I think when you're just starting out, you're not really sure how to start out with, right? So now I think when they've done the emotional like maybe material assessment of themselves, they will be asking the next question, which is what is to invest? What to invest, right? Okay, for this, we have 2 case studies, which I want to share with the audience and yourself, John. And they are from Reddit. Okay, so the first one is from someone, a Malaysian, who has 50,000 in their bank account and are looking for some investment options. Don't have any experience. Okay, so let me read the question here.
Okay.
The title reads, have money in savings but don't know where to invest for 6 months. Hi guys, I have savings roughly about 50K in my bank account right now. Okay, that's 50K RM. As these funds are just sitting idly there in the bank collecting measly interest, I find it very unproductive and I should put it somewhere for capital gains. I've considered to put it into fixed deposit, but I'm not sure if there are any better options out there. I'm looking at Hong Leong Bank fixed interest at 3.9% per annum for 6 months. Why I choose 6 months is because of risk appetite, and I may want to reinvest these funds to somewhere else when market improves. Any suggestions for better returns with a timeline of 6 months? Okay, John, so here we have already, okay, someone who has money in the bank. So let's assume they have the emergency fund prepared, stashed away somewhere else. Okay, so this is purely for investment capital of 50K. They're looking at a timeline of 6 months. So what in this case, what would you advise or recommend them to do?
Okay, if the money is being okay, so I'm reading in between the lines and I'm making a lot of assumptions here. I'm assuming at the end of 6 months, he or she doesn't need this money for another purpose, meaning a wedding, down payment for a house, maybe tuition bill for his postgraduate degree. So I have to make that assumption because there's too many variables here, right? So I'm assuming he's keeping this 50K for a recession so that he can proposedly go into the market when times are, when it's a bottom of the market, right? So here's, for me, in the meantime, if you're trying to time the market, all I can say is good luck. Because even the best investors in the world can't time the market. So if you're trying to park it somewhere and trying to time the market perfectly, I would really just say good luck. Okay, right? Secondly, in the meantime, because of 50K, you have this 50K aside. I hope that this person can actually learn more about investing. Buy a book. There are tons of fantastic books out there. I don't know whether he or she is a devout book reader, but I learned so much from books. Okay. Secondly is this. After reading so many books, I realized that a lot of these are concepts, but they are unstructured and very difficult to apply concepts because you don't have case studies or examples. And that's where I've learned a lot by attending classes. I paid tens of thousands to attend many, many classes, right, to get me to where I am today. And the third is actually you can't learn swimming by watching by reading a book. You actually have to put your feet in the water. Money that you can lose. You have to get wet. You can't can I learn swimming without getting wet? No. I had this question posed to me once at a Bursa webinar. So I was doing some webinars for Bursa. And this question came to the webinar panel. It said, hey, Jonah, can I be a good investor without reading? I don't know how to answer. I was stumped actually. I was actually stumped. So back to your question about how this person, this Redditor, how should he go about? Try not to time the market, okay? But at the same time, in the meantime, try to learn as much as possible, either through books, either through structured classes. And I also don't believe in paper trading. You have to put in money to play the game. It's like, can you imagine playing Monopoly, but you don't want to put in money?
Right.
How to play?
It is different emotionally as well,
yes.
Right? We can't really remove the emotional side of things. I mean, if you do paper trading for 10 years, it's still going to be the same.
Correct. And it has to hurt somehow. You have to, no, serious. I mean, yeah, it has to hurt. I mean, it's like when you swim, right? When you start learning swimming, did you swallow some water? I did.
Yeah, for sure.
It went through your nose, whatever. Yeah, you have to. It has to hurt. I'm sorry to say that, right?
Mm-mm.
No successful investor I've met has never lost money. That's BS. That's complete BS, right? And I think this notion that a lot of people expect, there's one, I've been blessed, okay, I've quote unquote, right, to have met, I've trained more than 7,000 people, Louis. I've also helped some manage money and all that, right? I've come across people that they want no risk, but they want the returns of the riskiest instrument. I repeat
Oh,
again, they want no risk, they want capital guaranteed, but they want the returns of the riskiest instrument. And then they asked me, can it be done? I said, can. In your dreams, I said, good luck finding a manager trying to manage money for you.
oh my God, that's like reaching, very,
Yeah,
very
yeah. That's why a lot of people end up in Ponzi schemes
true.
because they want that return. Some of them even knowingly knowing the risk, right? But they want the returns. So again, where
Without analyzing anything, right? Just put
exactly,
money.
exactly, and that's where I think self-education is the best investment. So if you got 50K, what's the harm of taking 2-3K, buy books, educate yourself, get yourself up to speed on the knowledge of the market? Because for me, the most expensive thing that you can waste money on, you know what it is? It is ignorance. That is the most expensive thing that you're gonna do.
I think
Right.
the best analogy for this is the ancient one where you're just trying to chop the tree with a blunt knife, right?
Correct. With a blunt axe. And it's just go on chopping, chop, go chop all you want. I mean, like a lot of people that have come across, I've seen those that come across hesitant to pay up for courses and all that, right? Is this, they say, oh, all these are free. Oh, right. There's 2 billion over sources or what. And I think when you try Googling and all that, yes, a lot of information is free, but it's in all the separate, there's no structure to it, you see. Yeah.
So in this case, are there any specific things that right now, this person, the redditor, is intending to put it into FD, right? So is that a safe choice for them for the time being?
For the short term, yes, but if that is a choice for like 20 years from now, again boils back to my invincible risk, inflation. So the second invincible risk, and this is even bigger than inflation, is ignorance.
True. So I think
yeah,
for this part in this particular case, you would say, just study up,
study
try to
up,
learn how to invest, right?
I don't know, Louis. Do you think the audience would be interested for recommended book list to start off with? Because books come in varying difficulty level and
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah,
What do you think, Louis? Do you think we should like audience? Let me and Louis know. In the comment section below, would you like a book list? Would you like something that I've read many books on investing. Some at the beginning of my investing career, when I read it, I'm like, wow, I don't understand a thing this guy's trying to tell me.
That's
right?
true.
Yeah, and then after reading that, then you realize, I should have read it in this sequence. Because by reading in this sequence, it actually helps like level up, rather than you go to the deep end, you lose hope, and then you come back, you actually don't realize you've never learned anything.
I think that sounds like a great idea, John. I think we definitely should come up with it and then maybe link it to our YouTube channel and other places.
Let us know in the comments, and also on the WangHiro website. Louis is going to set out a form. Let us know whether you would be interested in the book list. Okay, back to your question, Louis.
So I think for this, in this particular case, I think rather than it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that this person is just wants some recommendations on what to invest in, right? Maybe that's not the right approach.
Yeah.
Right. So instead,
Spot on.
instead you should be going about enhancing your own investment knowledge first, and then practicing on your own. That's how you learn, and that's how probably you'll get the best out of your investment. Okay, so this is the case for case one. So let's look at another one, slightly different scenario. Okay. Okay, so in the second case, okay, this is someone who is it in a very different financial situation. So unlike the first one, he has 50K,
Mm,
probably invest emergency funds, no experience seems like on investing.
mm,
But in the second one, we see someone who has an income of just 4,000. Okay,
mm.
so probably can spare 50, 150, and has a child on the way. Okay, so 50 to 150 on investing. Investing doesn't sound like a lot, and I think that's probably the amount that a lot of people can afford these days.
Yeah, can stomach mah.
Can stomach. Okay, so let's take a look at this Redditor's question. So title reads, looking for investment options. Household income around 4,000. What I can spare at the end of the month, 50 to 150. Okay, I assume all of this is in ringgit. One husband, one child on the way. I'm working on an emergency funds, but I also want to start looking for investment options, especially for the baby's future schooling funds. So far, I tried my hand at stock market, lost painful amount of money during the pandemic by investing according to trend without research. In my opinion, I don't have enough funds or information for this option to be worthwhile at the moment. A small amount in stash away, but everything's in the red. So can't help feeling nervous. Reading articles on investment has gotten me very confused. Many people seem to recommend ASB, but I don't understand it. Okay, seems like seems a little bit desperate
Yeah,
situation to me. I feel a little bit nervous reading it. Yeah.
yeah.
So for this particular Redditor, what would you recommend them?
I'm actually a bit nervous now. Going to explain my opinion, all right? But this particular Redditor, I think kudos to you for even trying to make the best out of scenario. I think
It's not easy.
it's not easy, especially to the emotion. I think you tend to make risky decisions when you're almost close to the red line, because that's where a lot of emotions will cloud your logical judgment. And yeah, but coming back to this, I think again, what I mentioned earlier, build that emergency fund. It's more important rather than trying to make. Actually, correct. I'll wind it back a bit. Rather than think about an investment option to invest your way into wealth, I really think that he or she should consider, because he said one husband, one
should
child.
be-
So I'm guessing she's a lady lah.
Yeah.
She should really find a way to upgrade her income.
Mm.
I think priority number one is that, because you can only save so much, right? You can only save so much. It's like a towel. If it's wet, if you wrinkle everything and you like really stretch it, right? That's the maximum amount of water holding capacity that the towel can have, right? But what you should be looking for is not how to wring it more water out of the towel, is to find a bigger towel so it can soak up more water. And I think that in itself, rather than trying to go into the stock market or trying to invest, is actually investing in yourself. Upgrade a skill. Find out other ways and means to increase your income. I mean, we've done an episode on side hustle, right? We're gonna link it up in probably the left or the right, somewhere here, right? Go look at that and change your mindset about just staying put and just accepting whatever salary that you have right now, because unless and until you increase your income, your capacity for investing is not going to be there. Okay. Once you do that, then start building up your 6 months. And in the meantime, most importantly is this. She said that she can spare 150 to 150 a month, right? Fantastic. Buy a good book. The book recommendation list that we're going to give you, for those who let us know. Yeah, change your mindset. Open up your belief system to rewiring based on successful people, because people who invest are usually people who already have capital. Now, I know we said that, hey, start with any amount. Yes, you should start, but I think priority is also to increase your income, because $50, $100, or maybe even 10 ringgit, 20 ringgit is not going to make a big difference over the short term, right? And what you want is that as you grow in your investing skills, it means reading, attending classes, upgrading your skills, you should also upgrade your income. Yeah.
That makes sense. So I think for this particular Redditor, the idea is not to invest in assets per se, but to invest in herself, right? So invest
Precisely.
in upgrading your skills, maybe just to get a better paying job, and that will give you a little bit more wiggle room for
Correct.
investing, having more capital for investing. And
Yes.
I think also just a breather, right? I think we also talked about this some episodes ago where everything looks like a good deal or like a good investing opportunity when you're desperate.
Yeah. Yes.
When you're
Yes.
hungry, you eat anything right in front of you.
Correct.
So this is why having enough emergency funds is very important, just to adjust that emotional part of you. So you have some emotional capacity to really analyze the options in front of you, rather
Precisely.
than go for the one that sounds like a good option.
That
Yeah.
you hit the nail on the coffin, Louis, because most people fall into scams are actually people like this, because they are desperate to get out of that scenario, and I don't blame them.
Yeah.
And then when they see a lot of enticing opportunities that come along, and then they are promised certain returns, they actually, why these scammers are good is this: they know you're already there, and they just need to light up the fire by selling you a promise that these problems will go away. I'm not trying to pour cold water on it. There's no such thing in the world. There's no such thing as free lunch.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as free lunch. And when it's too good to be true, it rarely is. So
Yeah, they're just gonna like fill up their own pockets, without thinking about you, right?
yeah. And I mean, if any of you guys are subscribers to Netflix, instead of watching a Korean drama or a K-pop concert, right? I love watching financial disaster documentaries. You know why? It gives you'll be surprised, right? The Ponzi, the name Ponzi was invented by this guy called Charles Ponzi in the 1900s. And the manner in which the latest big Ponzi of the world, Bernie Madoff, right? You will notice like 80% of it are similar in nature. Human psychology doesn't change much over hundreds of years, right?
probably
It's
will
just a
stay
little,
the same
yeah, thousands of
hundreds of
years.
years later. Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
just packaged in a different form only,
Mhm.
right?
Very true.
And why I'm using this as why it got me triggered was because most people, when they're at that desperate scenario, any things that sound good is actually pleasing to their ears, and they get sucked into it. And that's where I think only through knowledge and patience, and also like a better you're buying yourself time. That's where that patience comes along, by increasing your salary. Then only then you can assess whether these are good or bad investments. I look back at all my mistakes, Louis. I would say 80% of it was because I was just trying to shortcut the process.
True. And I would say the same for myself.
Yeah.
Every time you try to go for the shortcut, you end up losing even more.
Yes.
So lesson learned, just go the long route. That's probably the best one and
Correct.
the only one.
Correct. Probably the only one. Like
Yeah,
even
the rest are mirage.
Yeah. I've not seen a business owner, even they say multi-level marketing, direct sales, they grew very big, right? Hello. I've just had the privilege of meeting a few of them. And you know what they told me? At least 3 years. And that's fast. That person is probably working 16 hours a day. So he's like, what he achieved in 3 years is probably 6 years for an average person.
Looking at an average rate, right?
Correct. So again, no, don't shortcut it lah. I've been burned many times because I went through shortcuts. So for this Redditor, I hope you can take that advice to heart. I may not be the what do you call it, a sage or anything, but it's from eating a lot of humble pie. I would say this.
Yeah, and I'm sure if this Redditor wants to reach out to us, you can just send us a message, and you can talk to John about what are the options. Maybe give you some personal recommendations.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we wrap up here, John. Okay, so Very good. We started off with looking at the myths around investing. I think that was an important part to start with, because many people just don't think of investing because they think it's too risky, or they just have the wrong idea of what investing is. Okay, so it's good for you to analyze what are some of the limiting beliefs that you have around investing, and
Correct.
how much is it stopping you from investing and improving your financial situation with investing. And with investing, I think we have to have a very long timeline to it. We don't take shortcuts around it.
Yeah.
And with regards to what is investing, it is just basically a way for you to improve your wealth. Okay, increase your wealth, and separate from savings. Yes, you can put your money in a safe place, but it probably will not save you from inflation.
Correct.
So with these two Redditors that we shared, the primary reason is just to show everyone how real life Malaysian stories are like. And maybe if you find yourself in these situations, these are some of the things you can do.
Yeah, exactly. I think invest in yourself. Don't take too much shortcuts. And I'm not saying shortcuts are bad, all of it, right? But shortcuts, you will pay a certain price for it. You just have to understand that. And last but not least, I think be open to ideas and dig deeper, because what is too good to be true usually is, unless you know what you're doing.
It's very true.
Yeah. So hopefully you guys enjoy content like this. Thanks Louis for suggesting this topic of mine. It's a favorite topic of mine, investing. If you find this video useful, subscribe to the channel, give it a like, share it with your friends and family so that the YouTube algorithm can actually, pick it up and, spread it to more like-minded individuals like you. We hope to see you guys in the next video.
Bye-bye.